Okay, so this is how this song sounds without any plugins applied. And this is how it sounds after all the plugins applied.
I think there's something wrong with my phone. I haven't heard from you in so long. Not even a text. You used to be the best at all of that.
So this is how the kick sound without any plugins. And after EQ, then sound goodizer, and then this compressor. And now have a look at the kick out mic. The kick out sounds like this without any plugins. And after EQ, after sound goodizer, which was not required but anyway, and after the compression. Now have a look at the snare. This is snare top mic. With parametric EQ. And after compression, this is the compressor, and this is the limiter I have used because I was having a bleed of other instrument. So this is how the snare bottom sounds without any plugins. After EQ and after this limiter, which is gating the bleed of the other instruments. Although this is not properly used, this limiter, but anyway, this is without EQ and limiter. Both snare top and bottom sounds like this. Now we'll take a look at the overheads without any plugins. This is the parametric EQ. This is for adding saturation to it. And this multi-band compression is also used, which is doing nothing but removing all these frequencies which is not required in the overheads. Without everything, it is panned little left. You can see there is a lot of snare bleed and kick bleed in it, and all these plugins, what it is doing is that it is removing all those frequencies. So after overheads, we have this drums room sound. It sounds something like this without any plugins. After parametric EQ and some blood overdrive, which is saturation, it sounds something like this. Now I'll move on to the toms section. In the toms we have two toms, one is panned to the left and the other to the right. This is how the toms sounds without EQ. After the EQ, it sounds something like. I've used a saturation and also this limiter. I've used this limiter to gate these unnecessary bleeds of snare, although the best would have been to trim all this unnecessary sound which is not required, but I have used this gating feature of limiter. This is the left tom and this is the right tom, both together sounds without EQ like this. and after EQ, and this is the unnecessary sound which is being gated by the limiter. See, this is sound I could have removed just by trimming this all out. What limiter is doing is this. See, the sound is being continuously played, and after the limiter, this is the effect. Anyway, let's move on to the percussions. Percussion section, we don't have much sound, only these 3 tracks, out of which I have used only these 2, which are both are panned extremely left. Without any EQ, it sounds like this. After EQ and saturation, it sounds like this. Again, I have also used limiter for this because of the bleed from other sound. Let's move on to the guitars. This is the sound of the guitar without any EQ. After the EQ, some saturation and compression, and the reverb on the right. Reverb off, reverb on. Same I have done with the other guitars. Guitar on the right without EQ. After the EQ, without EQ, compressor and the reverb. Without reverb, with reverb, both together. Now let's move on to the horn section. In the horns, we have got 3 horns. I have used a bus for this. First, the horn on the left sounds something like this. After the EQ, this is the EQ setting. Before EQing, after EQing, compression and the reverb. Now horns in the center sounds like this. This is EQ, compressor and reverb. And the horns on the right without EQ, with EQ, compression and the reverb, all together. Let's move on to the keys section. Okay, so in the keys we have got 2 keys. One is bent little to the left and it sounds like this without any EQ. Without EQ, with EQ, saturation, compression and reverb sound like this. Move on to the other keys, which is I think Rhodes piano. Without EQ, this is after EQing, saturation and compression. Reverb on the right, both together. Let's move on to the background vocals. In the background vocals we have 2 background vocals. One is panned to the left and the other to the right without any EQ. Sounds like this. This is EQ, some saturation, compression, and the same is done with the right vocals. without any plugins. After EQ, saturation and compression, both with reverb. Now let's have a look at the lead vocals. Okay, so in the lead vocals, it sounds like this without any plugins.
I think there's something wrong with my phone.
With EQ,
I haven't heard from you.
I have made this cut because there are a lot of S sound,
Not even a text.
and this is the saturation,
Be the best at all
which I always
that.
used.
In so long. Not even a text.
And then
You used
another
to be
parametric
the
EQ.
best at all of that.
Then this
I think there's something wrong
this
with my
compressor,
phone.
which is Maximus.
I haven't heard from you.
Another
So
compressor.
long. Not even a text.
After that,
You used to be the best.
I have used this TDR Nova, which is de-essing the S sound. That's why I have used this sharp curve, and it is near about 6000 hertz, because there is the place where most of the S sounds is. Let me find a S sound where there is a lot of sound. So look at this part where there is a lot of S sound, and after applying this de-essing, see how much of relief your ears get. This is what this TDR Nova is doing.
Phone.
So this is my vocal plugin, and
haven't
now
heard
this
from
signal is
you
being fed into this
in
vocal
so
patcher,
long.
where I have used this
Not even a text.
small reverb, large reverb,
You used
slap
to be
delay,
the
and a wider
best
plugin.
at all of that.
This is a little room reverb.
Did you forget
And a hall reverb.
to pay the bill? If you need some help from me,
This is a kind of
you
slap
know
delay.
I will. Are you out of minutes?
And this is a wider plugin.
Ringing. What's up with that?
Only this much is required.
Put me on hold.
Now have a look at
I need
how
somebody
it sounds
to hold.
with the entire mix.
Why am I on hold? If I'm on hold, I'm gonna scream.
Sounds decent.
If I'm on hold, I'm gonna scream. I'm not trying to say.
Let me show you one more time the drum bus that I have used. Every drum sound is getting here, and there I have used this fruity scent to get this hard compression. First, let me show you how this drums sound without anything applied on the drum bus. This is the sound goodizer without it, with it, and this pre-box, it's a saturation plugin. See how it is impacting the sound. So this is how drums sound in my drum bus. And what this fruity send is doing, it's sending the signal to this part where a highly compressed drum sound is there. This is the normal routine that I always do with my mix. It's fruity send to have that hard compressed sound. It sounds something like this. This is the setting in hard compression. I can even compress it more with lot of release. Attack has to be fast, and this compressed sound is just sitting beneath the drum sound. Let me switch it off completely. This is my sound, and I have to choose the right amount of hard compression. I think it was sitting here. This is my drum bass sound, and now I'll show you what is my bass, how I treated the bass. This is the bass without anything, and this is the EQ for bass, saturation, and the compression. This is also being fed in the drum bus. Everything together. and I'll show you what I did in the masters. In the master, this is the mid-side patcher. This is how I treated my mono frequencies, and this is my mid-side, and this is how it sounds.
If you need some help from me.
And again, I have also used this saturation. Let me turn it off everything.
Something wrong
Mid-side patcher,
with my phone.
then the saturation,
Haven't heard from you
and then
in so long.
Maximus
Not
plugin.
even a text.
This is how I cut my low frequencies. This is my setting. This is my mids, and everything together.
To pay the bill. If you need some help from me,
And after
you know I will.
mixing just a little bit of cuts where I think it was needed. I think this mix sounds good. Do share your opinion about the mix. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing the channel. I'll share my mixing journey, the songs that I have mixed. Although these are not great, but not that bad, you can learn a little bit from it, and I can also learn from your opinion also. Please do consider subscribing. I have a lot of videos coming up like this. Thanks the singer Remember the Jones, I think it's the name of the band, Remember Jones, and CambridgeMT.com. Thank you. I hope you like the video. Please consider subscribing. This is me signing off. Goodbye. Keep learning, enjoy practicing. Thank you so much.